live? Oh, you are live. Got 9 people. 10.
Of course, hopefully the stream holds up this time.
Yeah.
I've been having issues all weekend trying to stream.
3 portables.
Yeah. No, the service has been terrible.
Oh yeah, in here.
Yeah.
It's been
shadows, there's no
yeah, it's been saying like no connection or whatever.
Yeah.
You got kids who are here or no?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finish line of Midsummer Scream 2019. Please welcome to the stage, Midsummer Scream founders and your executive team. Executive Director, David Markland. Executive Producer, Gary Baker. Supervising Producer, Claire Dunlap. And Creative Director, Rick West. Hey guys, who's tired? Who's ready for Halloween? Wow, I think we kicked it off this weekend, but of course I'm biased. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Thanks for coming out and being a big part of the Midsummer Scream community. And you're basically all ambassadors for the Halloween community. So please, this season, go out, check out as much Halloween stuff as you can, from the home haunts to the big haunts like Knott Scary Farm. And yeah, we'll be hopefully seeing you soon. Gary, say something fun.
Oh my God, what a weekend this has been. Just incredible, and incredible numbers. I looked out of my hotel and I saw that entire bridge full, 4 lines deep. Anyway.
Nobody's cheering for that. Thanks for your patience, but thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We more than exceeded our numbers for this year, and I just want to thank all of you for coming out and supporting us for all these years. So, also just a quick shout out to our tech team that puts all this together. My business partner, Jim Paul, my godson, Anthony Paul, they run all the tech. So, congratulations, guys, and thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for braving those lines and being as patient as you possibly can be. We had every single mag open that the convention center has. We had a full staff. And that's just what happens to take this many bodies and move them through magnetometers. So we really appreciate your patience. We're so glad you withstood the heat. We're so glad you're here. Also want to give another shout out to our white bats who are just the bomb diggity. Thank you guys.
I ask you the same thing every year. Did we do you proud? Was it homecoming? Are you exhausted? We are. Yeah, we are. We're going to sleep tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for coming out and spending your weekend with us. As usual, it's exciting. We are all very proud up here, and we are all very humbled that you think so highly of this event. We are nothing without you, without the fans. And, you know, there's a lot of ugliness out in the world. A lot of ugliness out in the world. Seeing what we have done here this weekend with you guys coming through, acting as a big family, you know what? The real monsters are out there, and here, this is love. An amazing weekend. From the Haunted Mansion to Universal to Dark Harbor to Knott to Christine McConnell. Did you guys have fun? All right. Then this is it, the finish line. Who's ready for Scary Farm? We love you guys. We love you guys so much. Let's do it again next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the finish line of Midsummer Scream 2019. Let's do this! There are few things more synonymous with Halloween than Knott's Scary Farm. For 46 years, guests have ventured into the fog-filled streets of Ghost Town looking to get the poison-berry juice scared out of them as they make their way past lurking monsters and through menacing mazes. Knott's Scary Farm is an annual tradition that attracts fear seekers from all over the world. Its history and importance to the haunt community everywhere are unparalleled. This fall marks the 47th season of Knott's Scary Farm, and as always, there are new thrills and chills restored for its dedicated fans. Here now are some of the most titillating host you ever had. A host for this presentation, give it up for Knott's Scary Farm's own Jeff Tucker.
Well, hello everyone! Welcome to Midsummer Scream! Alright, I am Jeff Tucker. I am from Knott's Scary Farm, the greatest place in the world. Have you seen this petition to move Halloween to another day? Well, I'm putting up my own petition. We will have Halloween every day. Who would sign that? All right, fantastic. I can sign it twice because I break the law. Okay. All right, we're here to talk about Knott's Scary Farm 2019. We have a few things. We have a lot of material to get through with some great people. I'm going to talk really fast because we have so much to get to. Okay, first up, if you are not in jail after storming Area 51, who's going to storm Area 51? Do the run. All right. If you're not in jail after that, here are the dates for Knott's Scary Farm 2019. There they are. And tickets are on sale right now. So if you're on your phone buying tickets, I won't get upset. Because that's what I'm supposed to do, sell as many tickets as I can so I can go to camp. Okay. So tickets are on sale now. Also, Fright Lane, Fast Lane, and all the other stuff that you want to do for Knott's Scary Farm 2019 are on sale right now. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a deep dive into two of the returning mazes this year. Thanks, Dad. Okay. And, we're going to go in depth like you've never seen before. If the maze had a DVD commentary, this would be it today. Okay. We're going to talk about two mazes. For the last 2 weeks on Twitter, we have been asking for questions of the fans. Is the slide coming up of the one with the, Scott, am I off track already? There it is. Scott's the guy in control. I am not in control because I'm a dummy. Okay, this is the Q&A of the Knott's Scary Farm design team. Send your questions on Twitter using KSF Midsummer. We're still taking them. So if you just have a question during the panel, magically, you can send the question to marketing. If they like it, they will give it to me, interactive TV, right? Okay, it's better than Avatar. All right. First up here, before we get to that, so get out your phones to start twittering and tweeting. We're going to talk about the upcoming announcement event at Knott's Scary Farm. Anybody been to that? There it is, folks. There's the date. Check it out. August 29th at 8 o'clock, reservations are available. August 9th at 5 p.m. Normally you send an email and you might get it or you might not. There's the information right there. Take a picture of it with your phone. Get that information. Tickets are for the event are free, but you must have a reservation. So if you're going, some hands, who's going? At that night, we will reveal everything about Knott's Berry Farm 2019 that's worth knowing. And today they gave tickets to the first 25 who got in. Did you get a ticket? Who got a ticket? Dance around like Grandpa Joe. Come on. All right, thank you, Mom. Okay. I'm kidding, my parents are dead. Okay. They disciplined me once.
Only once.
Once. That's dark even for me. Okay. All right, folks, the first returning maze and the subject of our first in-depth discussion is, watch the monitors right there. Dark ride, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why that guy was so upset. He kept his hand inside the car at all times. Please welcome to the panel. Here they are, the Vice President of Entertainment, Mr. Kim Parks. Live entertainment producer, Eric Nix. Designer to the stars, John Cook. Designer to the other stars, John Asprin. Audio guru, Dan Biragowski. All right, fellas, take it away. Here it is, the deep dive about Dark Ride.
Midsummer, how you doing? We're very, very excited to be able to kind of show you guys some of the behind the scenes of Dark Ride. Has anybody experienced it?
Yeah.
For those of you, wow, that's only half the room. The other half. Dark Ride is a story of an old carnival that was closed down, and all the freaks, the clowns, the sideshow performers, they were all kicked out onto the streets. Being shunned by society, they returned to their home, and they took the old Castle of Chaos ride, and they turned that into the new home. And they were going to defend it against anybody that would come in and expose this encampment, really, that they have set up in this ride. And one of the really, really neat things about this maze is the production and how everything is tied together. All the animatronics, the lighting, everything ties together and is synced through our show control system. And it's all driven by the heartbeat of the maze, which is the audio design. And audio is something that we kind of overlook. Sorry, Dan. So we wanted to really highlight that and be able to talk about it.
Cool. So when John told me he wanted to do a maze that was based in a dark ride, I was kind of stoked because dark rides sound bad. So it would make my job really easy. But then we started going through what he wanted from a sound design perspective, and it was really ambitious and really cool. And there's some pieces to it that make it unique. So the attraction has, you're on the ride, so there's tracks on the floor, and then there's sections of the maze that are backstage of the Castle of Chaos ride. So when you're on stage following the tracks on the ground, that's when you're supposed to hear kind of the rundown, broken attraction audio. And then when you make your way backstage and then you hit the big finale room, you're backstage, so the audio is actually supposed to be really clear and clean and hit really hard. So we had to sync the entire attraction audio for both the onstage and offstage. So whether you were walking, following the tracks, or you worked your way backstage, you always stayed in sync with the main music track that you hear throughout that. And so that was pretty challenging, but it was really fun. It was really ambitious. And beyond that, on a dark ride, there's a lot of like pop-up scares, you know, the little heads that pop up and they make a silly clown laugh and stuff. So we got to create all that from scratch. We didn't take any sound effects from existing props or anything. So just bring friends into the audio booth and tell them to act like a lunatic and hit record and cut it up and take the best of the best. And so I'll pull people like John in all the time.
I think I just sat there and yelled, die, 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 like 100 times. It was very...
And then they started recording.
Yep.
And there's a scene where there's I guess it's like an executioner, and he's like spinning a rack, and he's laughing, and it's John just, that's the best we could come up with.
Audio day is a
20
good
hour
day.
day or whatever, yeah. Audio day is always a good time. What you're looking at on the screen right now is the Pro Tools session from Dark Ride. Pro Tools is a recording software if you're not familiar. Because we have to record and edit all the sounds you hear, we do that in this program, and you can see a bunch of the file names on there. There's some good stuff in there. I think there's a rabid monkey in there somewhere. But specifically, if you look towards the top, you'll see that it says Dark Ride, background music good, and Dark Ride, background music bad. And we've never played this for anybody in a public forum, but we're going to play these for you so you can hear what they sound like when you're on one or the other. So Scott, if you want to play the
Hold on, before you go, this guy sat there and made sure that those two lined up, so when they play throughout the maze, it's not fighting each other, so hats off to sit there and do all that tedious work. Yeah, good job, man.
Yeah, so basically we sit down, John and I sit down in a room, we go through the entire design of the attraction before it's ever built, and we develop a list, and the list will include elements like that, and then we'll go in the studio and make that stuff happen. Sometimes the list has some weird stuff in it, and we'll throw Easter eggs in the attraction. There's a wizard in this maze, and he's fighting. There's a big dragon up on the ceiling, and this wizard kind of floats up and down. And for that, our lovely Vice President of Entertainment, Ken Parks, did the honors.
So these guys are always putting Easter eggs into their mazes. What they didn't know, I think it was my first year at Knott,
Yeah.
right? And so what they didn't know is I put an Easter egg into their maze. I used to work for the Walt Disney Company, and as an actor, once in a while, if they ever needed a Merlin, I would do all of these big special events, right? So I never did it in the park, but if they needed audio recordings, anything like that. So they were one day, I think John was saying, oh, we need a wizard, and we think we're gonna, I was like, oh, I'll do it for you. So that's a picture of a guy acting like he's acting. And if you've never seen what somebody using a microphone looks like, that's what that is. But anyway, so this is my Merlin voice.
Well, there's a vicious fire-breathing dragon. I shall smite him.
So, there it is, and we're waiting for the cease and desist from Disney at any moment. But good times now, let's keep going.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the Walt Disney Company, whichever store, they do things.
They own everything.
Yeah, so
I still have the chip.
Yeah. I try to record that energy, and that's tough. That takes hours. And then we edit it all down. We cut it down to basically make sure that it matches the tone of the attraction. This attraction is really fun. If you haven't gone through it, make your way to Knott's this year and make sure you experience it, because there's something special about clowns. I think we all kind of can accept this fact. And this attraction, you know, the fact that it takes place in the boardwalk area of Knott's and also is a dark ride that contains clowns, it's like you can't even escape it when you walk out the doors. You're in a boardwalk full of a buttload more clowns, and they're all awful and they all hate you. So make your way there and check it out, because if nothing else, maybe this will give you a chance to listen for some of those Easter eggs and realize we have as much fun making this stuff as you guys have walking through it, and I think it'll be pretty evident if you pay attention to it.
Hey, Dan. How long does it take to put together a maze, audio maze like Dark Ride?
I think probably about a month. You know, we have to plan everything out, schedule everything out, and then we do a sound check. The sound check is always super fun, but there's no way to sound check for, you know, having hundreds of people in a room. We work in a little studio, and so when we put the audio into the attraction, a lot of times we make tweaks and make changes. And sometimes it's not just for the guests, sometimes it's for the actual scare actors, because if you hear a girl scream, like, ah, and that happens every second for a 9-hour shift, you'll probably jump off a building. So sometimes we make tweaks, you know, to make the attraction better for talent as well. So it's a long process, but I think in the end, you know, the best part about doing what we do is that if there's anything that we do find that we need to change that's drastic, it's, you know, this one will be back next year, and you guys can come see it and see what we changed.
And what's great about what Dan does is that if he does his job right, and it's so seamless, you just assume it's organic, and it didn't take anybody thinking about that. So when people come out of the maze, they go, "Did you see what the big crowd got me? Yeah. Did you check the audio in that room?" And your friends go, "No, audio. It's just how the maze is supposed to sound," but that's all created from scratch. So they do an incredible job. We're talking about what's new for Dark Ride?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh.
Would you like to know what's new for Dark Ride?
All right, so with Dark Ride, you know, like some of the other mini mazes, one of my personal favorites, and so it was an honor to kind of bring to you what we have in store. So you guys ready to hear what we have in store for 2019? So, right? Okay, so let's dive right into it. So for this year for Dark Ride, we want to introduce to you 2 new rooms. And so as John opened up and talking about Dark Ride and how it's an abandoned carnival ride, what we're introducing to you for this year are 2 new rooms, undiscovered rooms that just recently was uncovered. And so what we want to bring to you, the first one is the surveillance room. And so it's kind of cool. I mean, you can see on the screen, if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see the what we had in the previous years and what we're doing for the new year. And it seems like it's a lot, but you know, if you go to the next slide, let's dive right into it. There's actually a lot of cool meat and potatoes in this one. So I know we sort of omitted a couple of lines in there.
Can't give it all away yet. It's been redacted.
Yeah, but what we're doing here is we're aiming for bringing a real huge interactive element to this portion of the maze, and that's a surveillance room. So just if you think of an abandoned carnival ride, obviously you would think of like a security room or a surveillance room. And so we uncovered a surveillance room, and some of the things that you'll find in the surveillance room
is obviously the security cameras and old dated technology like CRT monitors. You'll also see like wired keyboards and such. And so what we wanted to do is to try to, of course, obviously bring in the surveillance room, but the catch to this is that there is a whole level of crazy interactive elements in here, and it's all natural. And one of the things that we're known for, that every time John and I, work on projects, we're always thinking about Easter eggs. And so, for those of you that have gone through the maze in previous years and noticed a few of the Easter eggs in the maze, this is we're kind of picking up where we left off with those Easter eggs. And without not letting too much out of the bag, there's a lot of elements in there from, you could turn a key possibly, or maybe push a button, or find something in the room, and that room will interact with you. And you'll see a lot of ties into some of the elements of our other mazes, which is kind of cool. And you get a chance to kind of sort of see what that room would look like. You'll notice just, as small as it is, it definitely packs a lot of punch in there, and I think that you guys will have fun in there.
John, I'm just concerned that the phone in there was from like when I was a kid, and now it's vintage. So
I know.
It's a dark ride in my head. Thanks.
And so the next room that we have is a gift shop. And so I know.
The gift shop, folks.
I know.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Walt Disney Company.
Right, I know. Well, like
I should clarify, it's not an actual gift shop. Yeah. No, that's okay. We'll sell some stuff, but we're not going to sell it there.
They're trying to kill you, so it's okay.
We never miss a retail opportunity.
So what we wanted to do with that was to sort of wrap up the experience. So, as you go through Dark Ride, you go through all these different layers and different textures that the team created, and obviously what we wanted to do was to finish up the experience. And obviously you're going in through an abandoned ride, like many of the rides out there. The ride ends with a nice little cool gift shop, right? And so that's something that Eric, our producer, and Ken wanted to throw out. And they put together this crazy idea of putting together this gift shop. And so, like the surveillance room, there's some interactive elements in here as well. But we really wanted to capture the essence of your experience coming to a close, you're ready to leave, and there's a different level of a tone that's in here. For the most part, Dark Ride, it's very fluorescent, very bright. So we wanted to sort of shift the gears on it and sort of bring it down a couple, and almost like a little juxtaposition of what you experience throughout the maze and as you wrap up and end your experience. And so some cool elements, but with that being said, without adding any cool new stuff to it, and this slide right here is kind of will give you a little overview of what it sort of looks like. But with every new addition that we're bringing to our mazes at Knott Scary Farm, what we'd also like to introduce to you guys. Ready to see some new characters that we're introducing to you guys? Yeah. All right. So let's introduce to you Smiley Sam and Baby Fool.
Baby Fool's so good.
And right? That's actually me. So selfie.
Woke up this way.
Yeah. So with Smiley Sam and Baby Fool, one of the things that we love doing at Knott Scary Farm is throwing Easter eggs. And what we wanted to do is to recognize the whole idea that our mazes really are brought to life through our talent and brought to life through our mazes. And so, we really wanted to capture and play into and introduce to everyone 2 new characters that you'll see at the final scene in the gift shop. And the first one obviously is Smiley Sam, and the second one is Baby Fool. With Smiley Sam, she is a cashier that never had any clue that Dark Ride even closed, and so she's still trying to sell the last merchandise to everyone. And then, of course, you have the whole concept of Dark Ride being an abandoned ride. Well, for many reasons, aside from it being abandoned, there's also, unfortunately, a little baby that was abandoned with it as well. And this character is Baby Fool, who was raised by our carnies in the carnival ride and grew up to become Baby Fool. So
check out the slippers, though. Yeah. I'm jealous of whoever gets to do that talent.
I know.
John, I like the idea that a couple of the new baby got off the ride. They're like, "Do we have something with us?" "No, we're fine. Let's go." Just gotta get to that parking lot.
I know. Well, at any rate, that's those are our two new characters, and we hope that you guys enjoy Dark Ride this year.
All right, well, this sort of speaks to also what we've been doing. Not only have we been connecting the scare zones with the mazes so that they all kind of live in this common narrative, but the other thing we've been doing is, if we do have a returning maze, we keep plussing it. We sort of feel like it's never done. We always want to go back so that even if it returns, that we give you guys something new and exciting to look forward to. So, which I think is going to come up as, yeah, thank you for coming back. We appreciate you all. So I think that's going to tie into what we're doing next, too. Yeah.
All right, you ready to hear the next returning maze for 2019? And we're going to talk about this one in depth in a way that you've never heard before. Scott, roll that beautiful beam footage. Any fans of Special Ops Infected in the house? Well, here are the guys that made it. Tell us about it, fellas.
This is where it all began for us, right?
Yeah.
Special Ops Infected. Anybody get to check it out in Camp Snoopy?
There you go.
That was a rough year for us.
You know, I think it was all worth it though, for sure. I mean, it was man. Camp Snoopy is where we started and where we, we had a lot of fun. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. But for those of you who did not get to experience it in Camp Snoopy, we had the great idea of taking over the Camp Snoopy area and trying to transform it into the zombie apocalypse and create this really, really deep and fun interactive experience.
Yeah, I think with that experience, I think it all started even before that, before Camp Snoopy, and that was probably our influences, right? So, it kind of goes without saying, we're nerds at heart. I think one of the things that we take huge pride in is the fact that we have all these fanboy moments and nerd moments when we're out in our think tank sessions, and that's really where it all starts. That's really where it all came from, and you can kind of see, sort of what influenced us from the TV shows and the movies and the video games, obviously, and things even outside our four walls, like paintball and airsoft, was really what influenced the most. But this had to be it, right, John? What influenced us the most?
Man, we're fans. We actually met playing paintball and stuff, and we are big fans of video games. But at the end of the day, we're haunters, and we love haunted houses. So we saw an interesting opportunity that we hadn't seen done on a large scale like that to kind of gamify a maze experience.
Yeah.
And to make it more engaging and more than just a passive walkthrough attraction.
And I think one of the unique concepts that Infected had, and the biggest difference that when we're tooling around with ideas, was the simple fact that with Infected, we took elements from not only a maze, but we also took elements from the streets, and all these things that we learned from both of those types of venues, those types of experiences. We sort of came up with a hybrid that ended up becoming Infected. And the beautiful thing about Infected is that for those of you that have gone through, it's a different kind of feeling, right? I mean, you going through a traditional maze, you're sort of put in, for the most part, in a role of, say, a victim. But the unique thing about, Special Ops Infected is that, and we're so crazy stoked about it, because then we get, jittery just thinking about it, is that with Special Ops Infected, we were able to turn it all upside down And instead of you being the victim, we were able to have that feeling of now you have an opportunity to actually fight back. And that was...
And really engage into that story. You know, I don't think I've done a combat role through any other maze.
No. Yeah, and you know, a lot of it had to do with the evolution of the technology. I mean, if you guys saw, if you know, just looking at the picture, John, you want to talk about how that all started? Like,
Man, yeah. So I guess circling back now to Camp Snoopy, where it all began for us, we wanted to create this interactive experience. You know, we saw the big rise in the first-person shooter games. Escape rooms were starting to make a big impact, and we wanted to try and loop all that into one survival experience. So we wanted to flip Camp Snoopy in a matter of, what did we have, 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah, about 30 minutes.
To turn Camp Snoopy, make Camp Snoopy go away and turn it into this blood-curdling...
Every night of haunt.
Every single night of haunt, at the beginning of it and at the end, we were all running around like crazy trying to flip Camp Snoopy to turn it into the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just point out, it's my wife up in the slide there with the gun. Looks like Laverne and Shirley were given firearms.
If you look at the... If you look...
Our fans have fans.
It's not.
If you look at some of the technology or you know, the green, you know, laser tag weapons, they're actually, and you can sort of see it's a huge jump for those of you that have gone in the last 3 years, but if you look at the zombie on your upper right-hand side, you'll see, you know, these huge sensors, and they're actually, our zombies actually have these huge, like, 4-pound zombie boxes.
Fanny packs.
The fanny packs that they're wearing, that they wore at Camp Snoopy. But the awesome thing about it is that, you know, as an attraction, as Maze got super popular, you know, the technology sort of changed as well. And you kind of get to see what we are using today.
Yeah, so we went from the original equipment and we got to almost kind of work with Battle Company to create this new equipment. What's really cool is this technology did not exist until this attraction, where it's all through IR. So the zombies are actually wearing their headbands, they're wireless, and they're communicating with the weapon. So every time...
No, they're just talking about when it was at Camp Snoopy.
Back out to the weapon to collect that data. And that didn't exist. Before this, everything had to be done on Wi-Fi, which I don't know if anybody's tried to use their cell phones at Knott's Berry Farm. You know, it's not, sorry guys, not the best, but we were able to kind of eliminate that issue by using this IR equipment.
Yep. Another unique thing about Infected was this whole bragging rights scoring system that we introduced. One of the things actually two of the things that made Infected so unique for us is that we knew our target demographics. Like, how many gamers do we have in the house? Do we have any gamers in the house? How many people know this up, down, down, left, right, B, A, star, right? So, you know, we have a handful of you, you know, but like myself, I'm a huge gamer, he's a huge gamer, I'm dropping everything. Here's that wallet and all. You know, we wanted to introduce, you know, two new aspects that were fresh in the minds of haunters, and that was this whole idea of fulfillment, this whole idea of accomplishment, and that's something that we were super jazzed about that guests got out of Infected. And a lot of it had to do with our scoreboard system and our bragging rights system. And on the upper right-hand side of your screen, you'll sort of see like an old school snapshot of our scoreboard the first 2 years when we were at Camp Snoopy. It's got that old school feel. We played Pac-Man, Dig Dug, and you know, Space Invaders, and you get that general score and the first player. And then you have to the left in the background, you have a screenshot of our scoring system that you see today. And a lot of it is the whole idea of the accomplishment that we're able to achieve by guests as you shoot. And one thing, if you didn't know, is that the more headshots you get, your equipment upgrades. So it starts off with semi-automatic, down to 3-shot burst, down to, you know, fully automatic, and so on and so forth. And so, you know, we were able to accomplish that sense of accomplishment there. And then you also had the fulfillment, which is where the scoreboards came in. Because just like any of you that stuck through a video game and were into like a campaign game, and you stuck all the way to the very end, all to see the little credits, well, you know, that's sort of what we did with Infected, and we discovered that giving you these nice little call signs, was just that extra table talk that you would get with your friends, because another thing out of all this, which is really cool, was this whole bounce back feature that Infected brought in. And the bounce back feature was, sure, you went it through the first time and you went with your buddies, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your kids, but then you wanted to go a second time around because you wanted those bragging rights on that ride home. And so, you know, it was pretty cool. We had a chance to see a lot of our guests return back to the mazes, and it was really fun and super exciting to see everyone pretty much, you know, having a great time for the most part as they came back to the maze. But that's kind of cool with our scoring system. So
I like all the detail, and if you sit down and read it, the fresh meat basically says, you are a human backpack being carried by somebody else. That's so good.
Camp Snoopy.
Oh my. Camp Snoopy just seems to haunt us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With Infected. This was actually the original concept plot that we put together for the Camp Snoopy, where it had the two different trails that went back and forth. So we had one of them starting at the Outpost, one at the Bravo, and they'd make their way through. That way we were able to really utilize our number of zombies. So even though I think we had quite a bit out there at the time, 80 or so, it would feel like
it was like, I think we had about 104 zombies at our peak. 104 zombies, which is still to this day the largest cast in Knott Scary Farm history. And so it was a pretty impressive feat, and Camp Snoopy was where it all began. I think a lot of the things that opportunities that we wanted to see, obviously, we couldn't do because of it was at Camp Snoopy, right? We really wanted to fully immerse our guests into Special Ops Infected. So, you know, what we ended up doing was
we got to bring it backstage to where it is now, to be able to fully build out the city that we wanted to create. And by doing so, we opened up a lot more opportunities to build in the scares. And I think one of the things that is so fun and unique about Special Ops Infected, you're no longer walking through the maze looking for the scares, right? You're looking for the zombies, and that opens you up for those big startle scares.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it was, you know, when you go to camp, you know, for the first 2 years, you had a lot of open long-range or mid-range combat with the zombies. It was really hard for our zombies to sort of hide. You know, you could walk out to, you know, outside of a building and see maybe about 30 or 40 zombies ready to charge at you. But the great thing with having the ability to build our own little city, we were able to control the scares. You know, being huge paintball and airsoft heads, you know, we were always looking at our lines of fire, how guests would interact as they move forward and press through a room. And so, you know, we really wanted to take that experience to the next level. And I think what we ended up doing, it was a natural evolution of our storyline. And the crazy thing is, and you know, Special Ops Infected, I'll let you guys know, when we moved over to its current location, we actually were going to name it, or change name, right? It was Black Ops Infected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, we ended up sticking to our guns. So, no pun intended. But and we ended up continuing on with our story, and you know, with our story, you know, there's naturally. We've always been firm believers that, you know, a writer only writes the book, right? And it's a reader that finishes it. And for us, you know, we're the writers, and our guests, for those of you that have been through Infected, are readers. And, you know, we always enjoy the chapters that we write, but, you know, one of the things that we're super proud to announce and to everyone here is that, you know, we've written our final chapter for Special Ops Infected. And it's okay, because with that being said, one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we're celebrating something that has turned heads and had put smiles on so many people's faces. And
yeah, even though it will be its last year for 2019, doesn't mean that it's going out with a whimper. It's definitely going to go out with a headshot this year. We are adding some new scenes to Infected, and John, why don't you walk us through some of those new scenes that we have?
Cool, you guys ready to see some cool new stuff? Yeah. All right, let's jump right into it. So, new for 2019, in Infected's final year, let's jump right into it. Well, without saying, we'd like to show you, oh, you have some commemorative pins, right, Jeff?
Yes. This comes back to the selling part.
So actually, while we're on this slide, so we've been working really hard at Knott's Scary Farm and Knott's Berry Farm to get ahead of our production and what we're going to do year over year. And we've got the next several years planned out, which is great. And by doing that, we're able to take advantage and we're starting new lines. John's inspiration. So we're starting to create pins that will now commemorate the life of a maze.
Oh,
so this will be the
nice.
first in the series for the Knott's Scary Farm Legends pins. And we hope that we'll continue that tradition year over year as we know which attractions will be closing and more to come on that later. So yes, be sure to check out retail next to the gift shop.
Collect them all.
A little plug.
Collect the whole set.
You know, the crazy thing is too is that aside from this, you'll be able to also purchase like a grave site or like a graveyard where you get to collect and pull all your pins in for a display moment. So
Your own Boot Hill cemetery that will have tributes to all your favorite mazes.
I have pens like these from my parents.
Oh, Jeff.
Please continue.
Pull up, pull up, pull up.
2019 changes. So what we're doing is, as you can tell, we are bringing in. We're going to reveal 2 new changes to Infected for 2019. The first one is the Hernandez Calico convenience store, and the second one's House Meatpacking House. To the convenience store, what do you think of the convenience store, buddy?
I think it has nothing to do with Jen Hernandez's, the props department leads drinking habits, right?
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, Jen.
But with that, you know, we wanted to dive into the whole concept of where Infected is at after all these years of the zombie infection spreading throughout the modern day city of Calico.
It was Friday when we did this rehearsal and we were talking about the city that this goes through is Calico. That meme, I'm this many days old when I learned that happened to me right there. No clue, but that's, just another one of those great Easter eggs that we try and make into our design.
Well, I think when John and I were designing Infected, I think we're up to like 174 Easter eggs in Infected. A lot of you have like responded back and like hit us up and give us a count of how many Easter eggs you found, but we're up to I think 174 at this time. And so, Infected is basically takes place in modern day Calico City. So that's the name. If you guys have ever gone through the maze and looked at the signage that's in there, it says Calico City. So it's kind of cool having little nerdy moments with that. So, but at any rate, going back to the convenience store, they'll kind of give you a little overview. What John and I wanted to do is to sort of dive deeper into where Calico City is at with the zombie infection, and you have this rundown convenience store, and you have some cool new interactive elements in here as well. The next new item that we have is this whole meat packing freezer house. One of the cool things about the zombie experience, and for those of you that watch zombie movies, I know Johnny and I watch zombie movies all the time, but some of the most intimate moments that resonate with us most when I'm watching a zombie movie are those moments where you sort of break up from your group and you're by yourself. What we wanted to do with the zombie attraction with this new feature for 2019, is to divide up the groups into 2 groups. We're gonna split you up. One of the things that also is pretty cool about this is that, well, you're so used to the open mid to long range firefights with the zombies from Camp Snoopy, maybe the mid-range firefights and Infected. Now it's gonna get up and close and personal, and we're splitting you all up into 2 groups. So it's kind of intense. One of the things that I think you'll for those of you that saw our influences of the year, you guys watch Goonies. I'm a huge Goonie fan. Johnny was a huge Goonie fan. And what we wanted to do is add those kind of cool little fun elements, little fanboy moments to where, you know, just make sure that when you do split up that you have, someone watching this on this one, so. But yeah, that's kind of cool. I think with those 2 new features that we're adding for Infected, we hope you guys enjoy it. Oh yeah, we have 2 new characters, right?
Yeah, the characters. You're not done
you
yet,
guys ready to see 2 new characters? So you have your convenience store cashier that you'll obviously see. You'll see a cool, nice little difference in terms of our zombies that you see in the meat warehouse, the meat freezer warehouse. And so, you know, at Infected, you had so much, you had a lot of zombies wearing different types of costumes and wardrobe stuff, things like that of that sort. But Bill and Tim are doing a wonderful job over in our wardrobe and makeup department and helping us put together these 2 new characters that you'll find in our new additions for Special Ops Infected. So, pretty cool.
I think just looking, I mean, this is the first time I've seen these. And I gotta say, it's incredible, like what a detailed job that John's doing with these. That's really is what creates these total immersive worlds. To have somebody that's gonna sit there and think through every single little detail. I was blown away with the name badge and the Dark Ride stuff, and that's what kind of connects everything together to make you lose yourself in these experiences. And one other note that John's done a great job with is with Infected in Dark Ride and being able to tie all the worlds together. I don't know if you're starting to notice that throughout the mazes that are setting in a modern time, they're connected. So you'll see the Paranormal Inc. billboard of an Infected, right? I think in the new Dark Ride, you might catch a commercial for a thing or 2, or maybe a news broadcast for the zombie outbreak. So it's really cool to see all the different mazes throughout Scary Farm all starting to connect into one big universe. It's awesome.
I think, you know, we're not forcing it either. You know, if it's fun, if it makes sense, you know, then it makes sense. You know, I know Ken and Eric, you know, we talk about it all the time, but it's just really just having fun with it. I mean, that's at the end of the day, we're just having fun with it. So, kind of cool.
I think that's kind of the great thing about the event, right? You know, I always talk about how I went for the first time in the 80s, and that sweeper was dressed as Freddy Krueger, and it scared the crud out of me, you know? And it's just this thing where all of the nerdy fan folks grew up and now are in charge, so it allows us all to do these kind of things. And we have such a love for the event and the legacy of it. We just don't want, you know, if you're put in charge of that and to be the keepers of it, we just don't ever want to disappoint. So we will never let a maze just kind of go away without giving it a little something to say goodbye to it. The one thing that I always find fascinating about that whole story, which we didn't talk about, is that it wasn't originally intended for Camp Snoopy. It was actually intended for Soak City. And you were going to get into a van, and you would get your mission as you go over to the van, and then we thought much better of that when we realized that it was darkness and swimming pools.
There have been lifeguard zombies everywhere.
Yeah. But anyway, amazing job, you guys. Thank you so much.
Nicely done, guys. So that is the last year of Special Ops Infected. You have got to come out and see what they've done, and headshots only, right? Let's give it up for them. Nice work. All right, we're going to get to our questions that we got off of Twitter, because everybody on Twitter has an opinion and question, right?
These are always good, right, Jeff? These questions are always fun, right?
Oh, absolutely. Marketing, do you guys have questions from me? Did you get any today right now? You want to bring them up? From Price Waterhouse, bring me the questions. These have been sealed in a mayonnaise jar on Walter Knott's porch since this morning. Thank you. All right. I have them. Okay. Okay, here we go. From the room. What is your favorite moment from past mazes? Anyone?
So, for me, the first year that I designed an attraction from the ground up was actually Infected with John, and it was his first year designing an attraction from the ground up for Scary Farm. And the first time that we sound checked, we turned everything on. It was, I don't have any kids, but I assume that's what it feels like. It was so perfect and epic. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Camp Snoopy is not scary to be in, but it was super immersive, and that's the feeling that I've been chasing since the first time that I heard that thing turned on.
I'll give you mine real quick. It's from Dark Ride. I have a million of them because I've been there forever. But I was walking through Dark Ride, and you guys remember that gummy you had in there that was like realistic? Because I was walking through and I was like, why is this woman lying here? We're not open, ma'am, we're not open. Oh, it's a dummy now, I'm the dummy. It was so real. I thought she was like asleep or something. Oh, it was fantastic.
Mine would probably be, it was last year, Trick or Treat, Lights Out, and we did a 5 a.m. walkthrough, no talent, but it was trying out the flashlights for the first time, all the effects, all the sound, all that. And, you know, I've been coming to Knott's a long time. I've only been working here for 2 or 3 years, but I thought I was pretty immune to everything, and I have never shuffle step, like, skipped through a maze so fast by myself and just got out the other side and was like, yep, that's good, yep. Open it up, let's do it.
So true story, during that walkthrough, like a book or something moved and Ken...
I dropped the F-bomb.
There's no audio, there's no talent in there, and it scared him to death. It was great.
Which I wasn't allowed to do with the Walt Disney Company.
If you're not familiar
Pull
with
up.
Walt Disney.
All right. What's the most frightened you've ever seen someone? Other than budget time. What's the most frightened you've ever seen someone?
I was a talent for 1 year, and I scared a guy and he kicked me in the balls. And then he hugged me.
We have a pin that will commemorate that.
It's a headstone and it says Dan's testicles. That's the scared ever, the most scared ever.
That pin will drop soon. Don't laugh at that. Don't laugh at that. The most frightened I've ever seen someone, if I can interject here, was in a little maze we did called Trapped, and it was a girl who wet herself, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And we watched it, Scott and Liz, we watched it on video, we're like, she's going, it's going, there it is, yes, winner! How about you guys? Most frightened you've ever seen someone?
I think we had the privilege of sitting back and watching the CCTVs in Trapped. It's always fun
Yeah,
to watch people's reactions. So we were sitting there and somebody was genuinely freaking out in that, I don't remember as the electrical room with the water that raised up. And they literally must have felt like they were trapped, so they got desperate to try and swing across by the fake wires that we zip tied to the ceiling. Those are always enjoyable moments.
The great news
They
is,
help though.
the great news is we've stored all those videos, so they exist somewhere.
The big reveal is that we're watching you guys all the time.
That's also the most rewarding moments we have.
We don't get paid in money, we just get paid in watching that. You get another hour more on the cameras.
Okay, do you have a favorite maze or scare zone character? If so, why are they your favorite?
Well, I got one. I'm gonna get points for this one.
Better say that.
My wife used to be Symbols the monkey in Carnival, and I fell in love with her there and married her, so she's by far my favorite character.
Nice. My favorite characters in the audience. My daughter played Maggie in Possessed. How you guys?
I don't even think we can say anything because we're gonna have a bunch of monsters coming up to us after this. But I was your favorite.
I thought I was your favorite.
For me, it was in a maze called, I think it's called the Underground, and there was a guy on a live mic, and we used like a mirror gag. I say we, I wasn't working there at the time, I was like 17. But, so it looked like he didn't have...
Overlord.
Yeah, he didn't have like a lower half of his body, he was just
A spy master.
And a
Yeah,
guy
spy
on
master.
just talking crap to people.
Yeah, he was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife was in the underground as well as one of the dancers at Club Chupacabra, so it's all the family here. All right, we'll keep going here. These are from Twitter. What creative benefits come from handing off a maze with one designer to another designer in the next season?
So I think it's something that I touched upon a little bit earlier by being able to hand off mazes to people like John to get fresh eyes on it, to really comb back through it, really hone in on details that I wouldn't have necessarily seen. It's pretty awesome for me to be able to step back and then be able to go and walk through that maze, not being able to have the experience or seeing a lot of the design stuff, and to see what's come out of his head. It's pretty awesome.
I think it's fun. It's definitely fun too because you may not be a part of that beginning process, but you see where it heads to. Might have not been in the room when the minute maybe an idea for a maze came about, but during that journey of where it ends up at, and then the reactions that the guests would have when they go and step through the maze for the first time, was just enough to kind of get a good idea. So for me, it was nice because you get to see what kind of reaction that our guests would get, and then you can play off on that reaction and then get deeper into the story of what the maze is. And the awesome thing for me, I love doing, jumping and sinking my teeth into a maze, because aside from the beautiful sets that the designers are making, they're not even designing sets, they're creating worlds, where the characters have its own language, where it has its own distinct smell, where it has a different kind of color palette when you enter through that particular world that they created. And so just having an opportunity to sort of add an extra layer, add an extra texture, continue the next chapter of that storyline, and see what we could do on a creative sense and tie it into other worlds. It's always fun. So it's definitely a wonderful opportunity.
Me and John shared an office for how long?
4 or 5 years.
The office is an old janitor's closet, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's right next to my janitor closet.
Yeah. So me and John spent a lot of time in this room with no doors and no windows, But I remember we're sitting there working on things and kicking ideas around. So it's stuff that he's also been able to kind of think about through all this time. I don't know where you were when I said, hey, let's have a flying dragon talking to a wizard, but getting to pick that up and run with it, it's awesome.
It's cool. It's definitely fun. Definitely.
All right, this is the question I get asked most often when I go to events like this. What skills or education should they get to become a maze designer? You get that question a lot.
I think for skills is definitely, number one, you gotta definitely have passion. If you love what you're doing, it's gonna show in your work. And a lot of times too is that it allows you to think outside the box when you have that passion. When you have a passion for something, it's not textbook. What we do is not textbook. And the great thing about designing a maze is that we don't exist in our four walls of creativity. We break them down and we start thinking about things. And it's that passion that helps you take that next jump over those walls. And the great thing about if you do have that education, if there is a curriculum out there that exists, if I were to say just general, color theory, if you're going to dive into any sort of programs, definitely be awesome and learn the fundamentals of Photoshop, Illustrator, Vectorworks. Anything else, guys, that you could think of?
I mean, for me, I know we didn't go to school necessarily to be haunted house designers, So for us, like John was saying, it's driven by passion. So for me, it's always staying laser focused on what it is you want to do and be the hardest worker in the room and just get involved. A lot of people ask me how to get into this. It's just, there's so many amazing haunts out there, from the home haunts to the pros. You can go and get involved in some of these and just start learning as much as you possibly can if that's what you want to do.
I always tell people to be fun to work with too, like be easy, you know what I mean? Like that sounds super simple, but it's not always the case.
and be prepared to work really hard. You're going to have to work hard, there's long hours, but in the end, kind of the beauty of what we do is that one day it opens and all of your labor is right there on display for everybody to enjoy. So just be prepared to work hard, but in the end, it's always worth it the first time you get to see people walk through it.
Yeah, and our designers aren't just, you know, skilled in one thing, especially when it comes to Scary Farm. I mean, they've got their hands in audio design, scenic design, wardrobe design, lighting. I mean, they run the gamut. They're writing their own scripts for the mazes and, you know, helping them get refined. So being a, you know, jack of all trades, I think can really help you kind of lead that path. And I've always given people the advice, go where the wind takes you too. Like whatever the opportunity is, follow that path, because you never know where it's going to end up. I mean, I never thought, in '97 I was working in wardrobe at Disneyland, never did I think that my title would be producer at Knott's Berry Farm. So,
and I think one thing that we all share is that if you can't see a path to doing what you want to do, just do it yourself. You know, if you need to build it yourself with your own hands, that's what you need to do. Don't be afraid to do that. We all come from a background of making opportunities if we can't find a way to get to where we want. So if you can't get from point A to point B down the street, just hop the neighbor's fence and you'll get there anyways, you know. So make it happen.
All right, we want to remind you about our announcement event August 29th at Knott's Scary Farm. Knott's Berry Farm, you can get tickets. There it is, August 29th at 8 p.m. Reservations are available August 9th at 5 p.m. for pass holders at knotts.com/KSF announce. Tickets to the event are free, but a reservation is required. They'll be live streamed on the net. You can go on Knott's Scary Farm Facebook page. Tickets for Knott's Scary Farm are on sale right now. Get your tickets. A big thank you to Midsummer Screen for having us. For the panelists, Ken Parks, Eric Nix, Joe Cook, John Aspirin, Dan Marinowski. I'm Jeff Tucker. Thank you to the greatest fans in the world. You guys make it happen. We'll see you in the fog.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you subscribe down below. We'll have much more about this later on.